Now, when you're a rebuilding team like the Detroit Pistons, the most important part of the rebuild is drafting high quality basketball players. And I would say the most important thing after that is developing those high quality basketball players. And so far throughout the draft, as far as selecting talent, I think throughout this rebuild, the Detroit Pistons have done an exceptional job. We look at 2021 when we brought in the number one overall pick, Cade Cunningham. Look at what they did in 2022, bringing in Jaden Ivey with the 5th overall pick, and then making that trade to steal Jalen Duren from the Charlotte Hornets at the 13th overall pick. And now we get to the 2023 NBA draft, where I think once again the Detroit Pistons have done a fantastic job. They bring in Ausar Thompson with the 5th overall pick, and then they bring in Marcus Sasser, which again they traded up to get him. They traded the number 31 overall pick to the Celtics to trade up to select Marcus Sasser with the 25th overall pick. And I think once again that was a good move by Troy Weaver in the front office. And today I really want to talk about Marcus Sasser. I feel like we've been talking about Ausar Thompson a lot because he's been spectacular, but after what Marcus Sasser did in his previous summer league game, we definitely got to take an in-depth look at him. Now, last night was the Detroit Pistons' last game. I believe they finished with a record in 4-1. We lost to the Houston Rockets. Jabari Smith, he got really hot. I think he dropped like 38 points, but nonetheless, I really liked what I saw from the Detroit Pistons in this year's summer league, and I think this was an important game for Marcus Sasser, just given he kind of struggled with his 3-point shot in the previous 4 games, but he came out with no Jaden Ivey, no Jalen Duren, no James Wiseman, no Ausar Thompson. So the offense 99% of the time ran through his hands last night, and I think he did a pretty great job. He knocked down 5 out of his 9 3-pointers, and he also scored 40 points, and he had 5 assists with 0 turnovers. And in this game, he just looked a lot more patient. I thought he took great shots, and also something that shocked me was his ability to keep getting downhill. He was aggressive, getting downhill and finishing around the rim. So it was really fun to watch him get off in that game. 3-point shots, knocking down pull-up jumpers, getting to the rim, setting up his teammates, and we already know he's going to be bringing it on the defensive side of the ball. But the reason I'm really excited about Marcus Sasser for the Detroit Pistons, and I really hope he cracks the rotation next season with all the guards that we have and all the wings. I don't know who Coach Monty Williams is going to go with, but nonetheless, the reason I want Marcus Sasser to crack that rotation, I feel like he's a very versatile basketball player, and I think he could be really good next to guys like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, because of his ability to knock down the 3-point shot while also being a very productive defender. What we saw in the final game for the Detroit Pistons Summer League and what we saw from Marcus Sasser dropping 40 points and 5 assists, that's exactly why he was drafted by the Detroit Pistons. And I just really love the versatility of his offensive game, because we're looking at a player that you can bring in with the second unit and you can allow him to be the point guard, and he can run the offense. He's a very low turnover player, and he seems to make the right play. He can push the ball in transition, and we look at him in the half court. He's more than comfortable being the full-time ball handler, operating the pick and roll, making reads, and just making the correct basketball play. So you can bring him in off the second unit and allow him to be the point guard, and also you can plug him in next to guys like Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey. And the reason I'm so big on that, we look at the way that Cade Cunningham plays and Jaden Ivey. These are 2 guys that can get downhill with the best of the best in the NBA, and we all know when you start penetrating the defense, that open things up for 3-point shooters and for cutters. And Marcus Sasser, when it comes to off the ball abilities, I think he's a very solid finisher around the rim, finishing off cuts and also knocking down that 3-point shot. And me personally, I think that's the best part, or the most lethal part of his offensive game, is his ability to knock down the 3-point shot. We saw his shooting on display last night against the Pacers. He knocked down 5 out of his 9 3-point shots. And also at the University of Houston, he was a sniper. He knocked down 40% of his threes, and he had multiple games of knocking down 4 or more three-pointers. So he can shoot the basketball. And what's special about him is that he's not just a catch and shoot shooter. You go watch his highlights in college, look at his highlights in the summer league. He has range on his three-point shot, and he's also knocking them down off the dribble pull-up, which is so hard to do. And then also we already know he can knock them down off the catch. So I love the versatility that he brings on the offensive side of the ball, being able to play with the ball in his hands and play without it. And we also have to love that he's competitive on the defensive side of the ball as well. Despite being 6'2", 190 pounds, he's found ways to be disruptive on that side of the ball. And he does have a 6'8" wingspan, so that helps out a lot. But he has great speed and great lateral quickness. He doesn't mind picking guys up full court. He's really good at the point of attack. He has the ability to navigate and get through screens, so he's really good as an on-ball defender, and also he's very effective off the ball as well. He has great instincts. He has a great feel for the game, and you will see this guy get into the passing lanes a lot. In his time at the University of Houston, he averaged 1.6 steals per game, so he can be a pest on the defensive side of the ball. And I just think these two-way players that can knock down the three-point shot is going to be very, very important for the Detroit Pistons, especially for the best players on our team like Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. You need guys who can defend and knock down the three-point shot surrounding them. So I'm very happy with the decision that the front office made to trade up and select Marcus Sasser. I think his role for the Detroit Pistons, if he cracks that rotation, I think he's going to be a secondary playmaker, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the game. You can give it to him to knock down a three-point shot, or you can give it to him and he can make a play for himself or for somebody else, and he's going to be able to lock in on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm more than happy with this draft pick. And I also love the other guy that we drafted in this year's NBA draft with the 5th pick, Ausar Thompson. I think he had a very underrated summer league. I don't think it was talked about enough on the national level. Maybe it's just because the summer league just isn't talked about that much on the national level at all. But nonetheless, Ausar Thompson, I think he did a great job, and he stuffed the stat sheet on just about every level, averaging around 14 points per game, around 9-10 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, and then pitching in 2 steals and 2 blocks, which is crazy. That's a combined 4 steals and blocks per game, so that's a real impact on the defensive side of the ball. And my favorite performance from him was against the Toronto Raptors, the Detroit Pistons. They got up big and then they got down big towards the end of the game, and his energy and his effort led the comeback against the Toronto Raptors. And he's playing against another high draft pick in Grady Dick, and I think he outplayed Grady Dick in that game. So that was big time for Ausar Thompson, and I owe my little brother an apology. He's probably going to see this. He was really big on the Thompson twins coming out of the OTE league, and I'm not going to say I was necessarily down on them, but I was just saying I would have to see a little bit more because I don't know too much about the OT league, but he guaranteed me that they were going to be ready. And so far, both of them, he only played 1 game before his summer league was cut short due to his injury, and then Ausar Thompson looked spectacular to me. And whether his role next season for the Detroit Pistons is going to be coming off the bench or he's going to be a starter, I'm just looking forward to his high energy and his high effort plays, things that ignite the crowd, that's going to ignite his teammates, whether it's rebounding the basketball, diving for loose balls, getting steals, getting blocks. No matter what, we're going to get that from Ausar Thompson every time he steps out on the court. And as time goes on, all that other stuff will start to develop, the shot creation, his three-point shot. So I'm really looking forward to the Detroit Pistons, and I think they've done a great job so far these last few years in the draft. We got the guy to build around in Cunningham. You guys know how special I think he is. I can't wait to see him have a full healthy season. I think he's going to be an all-star next season. He might even crack that all NBA team. That's how good I think Cade is. I think he's a player that can average 25 points per game and somewhere around at least 6 assists and 6 rebounds. And we have his co-star, a guy with potential to be his co-star in Jaden Ivey. And then we have some great role players. Jalen Duren, he's going to be a guy protecting the rim, rebounding the basketball, finishing lobs, finishing dunks in the dunker spot. And it seems like he's continuing to work on his offensive game. We just extended Beef Stew, which I'm not mad at all, because once again, you don't want a bunch of stars on one team. You need quality role players, and I think Isaiah Stewart can do that. I saw a stat that he shot 45% on wide open catch and shoot threes last season, which we're living with that all day long. And then you have some valuable older players on the team, guys like Monty Morris, you have Alec Burks, you have Joe Harris. So I'm really excited to see the Detroit Pistons next season. I think they're going to be a lot more competitive, and we're definitely not going to finish with the worst record in the NBA. But that's going to be it for today's video. I think the Detroit Pistons, these last 2 or 3 years, they have completely nailed it in the NBA draft. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.